G'day, James. Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you here today.
Thanks, Lee. Great to be here and happy Friday.
And not too far either. Usually it's me talking to someone over in the United States or in the UK or something like that, but you're south of us here down in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's right. And probably not getting as good of weather as you are right now. We're a bit cold over the last few days here.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of people coming up from Melbourne up to the Sunshine Coast, and today is a great example. Cool morning. It'll be a nice warm day, blue skies throughout. One of those perfect days, but not always like that.
Oh, well, that's the way. I might have to come up there and follow suit myself.
Yeah, why not, mate? Why not? So tell us, mate. Tell us a bit about yourself. You've actually been over in the States playing basketball, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, a brief rundown. I guess I went over there when I was 17 to complete, years 11 and 12 at high school. Yeah, with the purpose of playing basketball. Went over there by myself. My family remained here in Australia. And played at the highest level. My year 12 equivalent over there, we won the high school national championships. Played alongside some really good friends and teammates who are now high performers in the NBA.
Right.
Before proceeding on to play a year at college over there at the Division One level at DePaul University. After that, yeah, decided to come home back to Australia, back to Melbourne, and crack into my property career. So that was now 5 years ago. So I've been back in Australia for 5 years or four and a
Yeah.
half.
Okay.
And yeah, now running our own business, Bluestone Property Corporation.
Wow. At a young age, doing a lot of fantastic things. Tell us about the experience over in the States playing basketball. What made you decide to I guess pack that up and come back?
Yeah, it's a good question. The experience is really good, particularly at the high school level. The
Mm.
high school level basketball for me is probably where I found I excelled and was playing my best, and was sort of performing my best as well. Being around a team of really tight knit guys, and the culture of the basketball team was second to none. Um, I suppose your trainings at 5:30 in the morning. Sometimes you're training until late at night, 10:30 at night. You're all living on campus with one another. You can imagine the sort of level of bonding that you go
Yeah.
through, and it's a different world over there. They take their sport, their high school sport, you know, just as seriously as we take our professional sport over here.
Yeah, right.
Um, so it was really good. Once I got into the college level, probably dropped off a little bit just because the nature of the college experience over there is it's very money driven. It is a business, and there's probably a few politics around it. I wasn't playing a whole lot of minutes as it was in college. Found it to be a great experience to be around it, but I think I sort of lost a lot of the fun um, because everyone's sort of there for themselves. You're not really a tight knit team. Guys are trying to go play professionally, so they're really focused on their own goals, and that's understandable too. It makes a lot of
Mm.
sense. And at that point, I really wanted to sort of come home and crack into my professional career, which wasn't going to be in basketball. And so yeah, sort of came back mid 2018 after my first year at college there.
Right. And now the founder of Bluestone Property.
That's right. So I suppose 3 years after I came back, I dabbled in a few different real estate teams here in Melbourne,
Yep.
in the sort of commercial world, the investment structured world, and the luxury residential market. Before sort of deciding that I really wasn't going to continue working for someone else, and I had an unwavering belief that I could somehow get my own business off the ground after 2 minutes in the industry at 22. So yeah, at end of 2020, start of 2021, just after COVID, and the lockdowns and what have you,
Yeah.
kicked
What a
the
great time
business
to
off.
start a business, eh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, while everyone's locked in their houses and whatnot, around the time I did, we were starting to get let out, which was great. I had a few people who are quite mentors of mine sort of go, "Oh, gee, mate, like pretty ballsy. Not sure that I would do the same." But I guess at that time I was very much ready to not be working under someone else. And I don't know, as I said, I had a bit of an unwavering belief in myself that I could make it work. I had a few sort of clients in the pipeline sort of ready to go, but not all that much. And yeah, it was a lot of work that got put into it, but it's certainly paid off now 2 years down the line.
Yeah, right. So what sort of property company is it? Is it sales? Is
So,
it
so
investments?
good question. So we're a buyer's agency.
Yeah.
So we're typically dealing with a lot of investors purchasing or purchasing for Australia wide. And really sort of have a focus in on the lower price point stuff, sort of sub $600,000-700,000. Sweet spots anywhere between 300,000 and 400,000.
Yeah,
So
right.
really helping a lot of investors. We do a few first home buyers as well, if they're Melbourne based. Soon to sort of tap into the Sydney market and open up a satellite office there. But yeah, I suppose the structure sort of allows quite a lot of flexibility if you're doing interstate purchases, because a lot of the stuff is just numbers focused.
Mm.
So you don't really sort of need to be looking at, I suppose the intricacies of floor plans and finishes and whatnot. You sort of, for our investors, we're really looking at the numbers and focusing on purchasing under market value, so there's immediate sort of equity to be utilised if the purchaser so chooses to purchase another one
Yeah.
immediately or in the near future.
Yeah, I like it. So tell me, going to US, playing basketball, coming back, setting up a property business, two very different things, really. Where did this property passion extend from?
Yeah, it's quite funny. I say to a lot of people, like my father was quite a high performing commercial real estate agent here in Melbourne, sort of doing
Right.
a lot of the institutional transactions, CBD buildings, what have you, and was doing so for quite some time. And as a kid, I was always sort of angled, by my grandparents, by my dad, property is going to be great. And I was very, very adamant, I will never get into property. There's no chance you'll never find me in property. I hated the stigma around real estate. I hated the stigma around property. I hated the sales side of things. So, it was always, mate, I'm never going to follow in your footsteps, Dad. Don't even go there. And I suppose while I was at my year of college in America, I had a lot of my peers and a couple of my professors suggest, have you considered real estate or some sort of property career? At that time I was thinking finance, potentially some sort of law, and too many people are suggesting that property could be up my alley. I can't ignore it. And I guess my idea of working in the commercial world was centered around property, real estate, because that's all I'd seen, and
Mm.
heard. I used to go to my dad's inspections when I was young and heard him on the phone talking a lot. Um, when he was sort of working in agency as a kid,
Yep.
myself being a kid. So when I came back over, I started to think about coming back over to Australia and wanted to crack into that professional career. It was sort of property, and that's all I knew. That's effectively what I wanted to do. Yeah, they're two separate things, property and basketball, but you actually find that performing at a high level between the two, there are a lot of similarities and things which are transferable from a high level sporting to high level property or
Mm.
business.
Business, yeah, yeah. Great segue there, because that's what we want to talk about. Really, is I mean, you've got this. I can clearly see you've got this mental toughness here to be able to do what you've done. Number one, going to the States away from your family at a young age is always going to be a tough thing to do. New people, new crowds, new environment, etc. But then coming back at a young age and just going, hey, you know what? I'm just going to set up a company in property. There's very ballsy moves. So, how do you look at mental toughness as a state that has helped you succeed in what you've done so far in life?
Yeah, I suppose two key things that I would draw upon when you ask that question is discipline and motivation. Right. For me, a lot of the time, yeah, it was tough. Basketball was tough, particularly in high school, a lot of the physical work. that we did. My coach there used to be trained by an ex Navy SEAL, I believe.
All right.
So our training sessions at the high school level were incredibly tough, like incredibly aerobically, physically demanding. And punishments, as you can imagine, were a lot of running and sprinting. And there were times there where kids were vomiting, every couple of sessions because of how rigorous it was. And I suppose that for me, no matter what you're doing, whether it's playing basketball or running a business, you need to have your motivation, your discipline, right? Your motivation is naturally going to be there if you enjoy what you're doing, if you find fulfillment in what you're doing.
Mm.
But there are obviously days when motivation isn't so prevalent, right? You might be having a slow day. There might be a few other things happening in life. So that's when your discipline kicks in. So for me, when I was playing basketball or starting the business, there were times where I was told by mentors of mine, by family members of mine, my parents, hey, like, probably shouldn't start your business, should just go to uni, finish off your course. I dropped out of uni halfway through
Mm.
to start my business. So imagine that, so having your parents tell you like you shouldn't do this, and a couple of mentors saying, "Oh, geez, not telling you no, but that's a ballsy move." You get what they're suggesting. And I guess you've just got to have your unwavering belief in yourself, despite your environment suggesting it's perhaps not a good idea, that
Yeah.
that you are going to make things work. So it's a combination between the discipline of, well, everyone's sort of suggesting that it may not work, but I need to sort of keep pressing on with tasks and having the discipline to stay focused and stay the course.
Mm.
And then the motivation, I suppose, really complements the discipline, because if you're motivated and you enjoy what you're doing, the discipline just becomes a whole lot easier, and the output to me becomes a whole lot more and more effective.
Mm. Yeah, I really like that differentiation between motivation and discipline in regards to, those days you wake up not feeling as motivated as perhaps you'd like. And that's when the discipline kicks in. And I had a morning like that today, to be honest, where I woke up and had an interview with someone early on at 5 in the morning, and I was a bit tired. So I thought, it'd be nice just to go back to bed. But no, instead I got in there and did a 38-minute yoga session, followed by 30 minutes of meditation. So following these disciplines just helps me keep motivated and stay on top of things, even though, I wasn't feeling up to it at the start. Are there
Right.
particular routines that you have in place to keep those motivations going?
It's a good question. I mean, are you familiar with the 75 hard challenge?
75 hard? No, I'm not.
It's a challenge created by Andy Frisell. He's over stateside, and it's effectively 75 days, and every single day of this 75 days you need to do two workouts for at least 45 minutes. One needs to be outdoors. You need to read 10 pages of a self-development or entrepreneurial based book. You need to drink a gallon of water, which is about 3.8 liters. You need to follow a diet, no alcohol, no cheat meals. You need to take a photo of yourself every day for 75 days without rest.
Bloody hell.
Um, I've just completed this a few days ago, the 75th day. And, you ask, are there anything that you do that, systems in place or routines in place? I mean, a big learning for me in this challenge was that, I suppose, when you have a full plate full of things which are bettering oneself, exercising, reading, drinking water, following a diet, I think naturally everything else falls into place,
Mm.
right? So to me, it's about filling your day with things which are going to develop yourself, whether it's mentally or physically, right? Your discipline's naturally then going to be there, because you've got the discipline to continue feeding your body or running your body through things which are healthy and progressive for it. and then the rest of your day is going to fall into play. My productivity over the last 75 days has probably been twofold, right?
Yeah, right.
3x even. So where do you get value out of that? Well, get yourself into a consistent exercise routine. Start reading books which are relevant to your purpose. Um, Eat well. Cut out alcohol out of your life. I mean, you don't have to do these things, but if you can get the picture right, it's about what you do outside of work, which will actually, keep you disciplined and focused inside of work, because everything that you do in life needs to be conducive to a productive environment.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like an incredible challenge. What is it called? 75 hard.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I might have to consider that one myself. It sounds a bit daunting. I mean, how did you find starting off with that? Obviously, you seem like a fit guy anyway, fairly motivated and disciplined generally. But how did you find the process to begin with?
Yeah, good question. So I come back to a bit of motivation and discipline differentiation here. At the very start, for the first 3 weeks, I was incredibly motivated. You've got your checklist every day, you're ticking things off as you go. You wake up, the first thing you do is take that photo and, do a workout or read your 10 pages of your book. I found it quite easy actually at the start.
Yeah.
I
Right.
probably started to lose a bit of that motivation 30 days in, let's say halfway through,
Yep.
uh, 35 for 40 days in. And, not like lose all motivation, but start to sort of, oh, gee, it's a bit much sort of thing. But by that time, you've already built up an incredible routine because you've been doing this for a month. So now you're in routine. Now your discipline kicks in because your motivation levels are a little down.
Mm.
Um, and then I suppose the hardest part of the whole thing was really that second outdoor workout, or exercise. Yeah, one of the two exercises that you do for 45 minutes needs to be outdoors. And, we've been in the gym, been working all day, and now it's 10 p.m. at night, and you're feeling pretty buggered of the day, and you're ready to knock off to bed. But here's that second workout, last thing you got to do for the day. Um, that can be, a jog or a power walk outside, but it needs to be outdoors.
Yeah. Right.
So, you're out at 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night for 45 minutes walking. That was the hardest part. But, towards the end, I guess the discipline probably started to waver. And again, by that time, we had 10 days left. So the motivation was there to push us through
It's
and
true.
just finish it off. So you can see the way that discipline and motivation plays in there, because one sort of really complements the other, or fills in the gaps when the other is low.
A bit of a curve. You felt the motivation at the start, then it declined. Discipline kicked in, and then towards the end, of course, coming towards the end, motivation kicked back in.
That's right. Yeah.
It's
I
interesting.
could
Okay.
literally feel it. I could literally feel like the differentiation in my drivers, at different periods of that challenge.
I wonder why the 30 days mark is that key. I just did a 30-day challenge myself. No booze, and
Yes.
I exercised pretty regularly anyway, but exercised and had to just do something every day. And then
Yeah.
around that 30 days mark, I sort of got bored, I think, almost, like, oh, what's going on? And wanted a bit of spice in my life. So and I've done that before, but
I think it's because around the 30-day mark, that's when it's now a routine. So there's no longer a novelty around it. So now it's sort of routine. So it's now pretty
good
mundane
point.
to you.
Mm.
So that's my belief, and I had thought of that as well. Whose quote? Maybe it was Oprah. Someone saying it. It's a quote about it takes X amount of days to form a habit, X amount of days to form a routine. I feel like 30 days was
They
the
often say
number of
30
days
days, but I reckon the 75 days would be even better, because I reckon
it would
that the
be.
30 days is when you either you change or you stick, and
Yeah,
it's likely if that motivation's not there and you don't have that discipline, that you can go back easily to your old routines anyway. So pushing through that moment is important. Is there anything you do to push through those moments? Like when you're having that tough day, you don't feel the motivation, you're just like, oh, I can't be stuffed. Like, what do you do to kick yourself into gear?
I'll tell you what, like I've been asked this question before in obviously a much more loose and social, I suppose, setting. Um, just do it. Like it sounds so simple, and I'm so sorry, but you're doing a challenge. You have a task that needs to be done. Do it.
Mm.
Like for me, there was no chance I was not going to complete this challenge, right? So in the days where I suppose it's like, oh, I need to get out and do this workout at night, or I've just flown back into Melbourne from Sydney and it's 8:30 at night and I haven't done the outdoor workout. Well, do it. Because if you don't do it, you fail.
Mm.
You fail the challenge. So, you asked, what do you do to kick yourself in the gut? Well, just I mean, it's as simple as I just pull myself out of a chair, pull myself off the couch, slip my gear on, and let's go. Like
So you
it
don't
may
like to let
suck.
yourself fail, right? Like you sort of stated that. So you just that gives you the motivation to do it. I don't want to fail at this. And then that
Yeah.
you sound like you might be pretty hard on yourself generally. Is that the nature of you when people
Yeah,
say
a little
that?
bit. Yeah. Yeah. You put a bit of pressure on yourself to not fail and not want to lose,
Yeah.
the momentum that you got. Yeah.
I find a lot of high performers are like that, where they don't want to fail. So they put all this pressure on them. And that's
Yeah.
great if you've got the right routines and balances in place. But over a longer period of time, it can break someone too.
Totally. Yeah. And you probably see people who do sort of implode or break down because of, the level of pressure they put on themselves. Because what it does is I feel it becomes very negative self-talk. And when you're not in a healthy and, as you said, routine environment, um, yeah, that pressure can really start to eat you alive, I think.
Mm, yeah. Interesting stuff, mate. What other routines do you put in place? How do you keep the balance, I guess, like with your work? Obviously, you got your own corporation set up, and then you're doing these challenges of, an hour and a half of workout every day, lots on your plate. How do you find the balance there to say, okay, this is work, I'm going to work hard while I'm there, or do you just always work?
I suppose the beauty of what I do is it's very remote, so you can do it from anywhere. The discipline comes into just ensuring that you get your tasks done. So you should really understand that, your work needs to get done. You should really understand that your tasks need to get done, i.e., your 75 hard challenges. And I guess quite simply, they complement one another. When
Mm,
I was training for basketball, I went over to America when I was 17. I started to fit all of this stuff on my plate, right? I mean, I only really started picking up basketball seriously when I was 14. This is a great example. Between sort of like 12, 13, 14, I was kicking around school, getting, B's and B pluses and whatnot across my subjects. But once I started taking basketball training quite seriously when I was 14, 15, and now my schedule was packed, I noticed that my grades were starting to hit sort of A's and A pluses across the board because I'd wake up, go to my academy or go train and go to school. I'm really focused. I know that getting good grades is conducive to having success in America because the American schools want to say that you've got good grades in addition to um, your basketball prowess.
mm,
So and I just found just ultimate focus around that purpose. And one complemented the other. The better I was doing at school, the better I was playing basketball, the better I was playing basketball, the better I was doing at school. So now translate that to sort of routine and work and the 75 hard. As I mentioned earlier, my output probably 2 or 3x to while I was doing the 75 hard because they complement one another.
mm,
But having a good routine for, as I said, your body, your mind, um, it helps. And if you're working hard, you're feeling good about yourself, you're now more motivated to do your tasks for the 75 hard. You become, you got all this on your plate, and now you're just so, you're so focused and so immersed in a world of productivity and health.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have downtime, or is it just like exercise, workouts, business? Like, do you take time out to chill and watch a movie or hang with friends?
Absolutely. Sometimes I will well, most evenings, after 7:30, I'm just kicking back on my phone on FaceTime to, my partner, my friends, on social media, watching some Netflix. So no, I'm not some ultra machine that's always on. I used to do, admittedly, a bit of partying and what have you, but I guess nowadays, that really just takes the life out of you, and wouldn't really do too much of that. But it's going out for dinner with
Nowadays
friends
at
every couple of
24,
weeks. Yeah, getting old now, Lee.
wait until you're 41.
Yeah, so there is downtime. I go see my mother for dinner down the road, 2 or 3 times a week. Um, I guess, yeah, there's plenty of time when I'm not working or exercising. But part of what I do is, even during the day, it might be 12:30, I might ring up a mate down the road. Hey, what are you up to? You want to go out for a sandwich, go out for a lunch? You just really, if you do that, you just need to make sure that you're fitting and scheduling in your day appropriately around that.
Mm.
But I guess, being in the position that I'm in, I've built my role and I guess the company around my flexibility. Um, although it's a blessing and a curse, because having that kind of flexibility can easily throw you off your sort of routine sometimes, because you've not no one sort of keeping a schedule over you.
Mm.
Um, you really need to be on top of that.
What are your sleep routines like?
Probably look at around 7 hours of sleep a night. Um, Sort of 11:30, wake up 6:30 kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then, yeah, I look to train in the morning, around that sort of 6:30, 7 o'clock mark, and then be in front of the computer by 9, like as if you're in a regular work day, you know. But yeah, I do try to get sort of 7 hours of sleep a night, and I'm consistently getting around that, which is all right.
Yeah, nice. Sounds like you got some fairly good balance in the day anyway. So that's pretty important.
I think, absolutely. However, I guess a lot of it has been, really touched up and cemented by this 75 hard. What was I doing so last year? I was probably a lot more loose last year, just because I didn't have those tasks that needed to get done.
Mm.
So, although I was quite busy, like I just find myself having downtime in the middle of the day for like 2 hours. And it's like, oh, we've been watching TV for a couple of hours. I better get back to work, and it's 7 o'clock at night now, or 6 o'clock at night, and I'll get back on it. So it's a lot more loose. Which, I guess you still get your tasks done and whatnot, but mentally you're not in that routine. You're not sort of being as disciplined as you should be.
Mm.
And going back to sort of putting a bit of pressure on yourself, and sort of being a little bit critical of yourself, that definitely started to wear me down, because I wasn't very satisfied with, well, I wasn't very pleased with the way I was structuring my days.
Yeah.
But this year has been, an incredibly big change.
Yeah. I really like that routine, and certainly exercise at the start of the day. That's what I've always been about. But at the end of the day too, it's really hard to get into that routine, but I've been trying, as much as I can. But doing something like a half an hour gym session, or going for a walk or something like that at the end of the day, I find just picks you back up again for the evening schedule. Even if it's just chilling out for the evening, you find a little bit of energy and a
Yeah.
bit of clarity there, which probably helps for your sleep as well, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, the body also you get more energy, right? I believe that the body, when put under more physical stress across the day, or physical exertion across the day, even if it's just a 45-minute walk, becomes sort of accustomed to this higher or increased level of need for production or energy output.
Mm.
And so yeah, I mean, at the start, perhaps as well, throughout the middle of the challenge, I found myself needing to take like an hour nap during the day every now and then. But yeah, for the last 2 weeks, like 3 weeks of the challenge, no need. Like my body was really sort of set in sort of, yeah, this level of energy required to get through the day. And with the more energy, work was more productive as well.
Yeah.
Um, One key thing I added myself to each of these days was a 4 to 6 minute cold shower.
Yep.
Um, and that's something I've been doing, probably for a month leading up to the 75 hard as well.
Mm.
Um, a cold shower a day has just been incredible for my physical and mental ability, I think, since probably the start of December last year.
Yeah, nice. Bit of Wim Hof stuff there.
That's right. I've got his got his book. Here it is. You can't really see it, but that's the Wim
Yeah,
Hof book.
yeah, it's bloody
Big fan.
good
Big
read.
fan. Follow him on social media. And I'm a huge believer in the benefits of cold showers and ice baths because I've seen it for the last 4 months.
Cold showers in Queensland are quite nice over summer.
I
Yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine they're probably a little bit warmer than the cold showers that we've got down here in Melbourne.
today was a bit cooler actually, finally. But I mean, I had the bath filled up outside with rainwater, and I just jumped in there every morning for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and
Oh, fantastic. So you're on it.
it
You're on the
certainly
cold
does.
shower stuff.
Well, I stopped because the bath hasn't been raining as much. I don't want to waste water, so I just do the cold shower now. But I've been doing that for a fair while, on and off. But yeah, it does. It certainly does work. Changes your energy and kicks you into gear. I find in the morning if you do it as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, I find like, you might be feeling a bit lethargic and, maybe have a meeting, virtually or whatever. Jump in the cold shower for 3 minutes before the meeting and here you go, seeing myself perform and have, excellent meetings that, probably didn't look that way prior to
Mm.
because because I've jumped in the shower cold. Yeah, seriously, just does a world of wonders. Yeah, found it's really helped a lot with my stress and um, yeah, my stress levels around just personal and business life as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. I talk to friends about this sometimes, or family, and they just say, "Well, why would you do that? Just have a normal shower." And it's like, no, but it's that discipline again, isn't it? Like if you can put yourself under that, especially in winter, cold shower for 4 minutes, that discipline is what comes down to. So when you're in that moment at night, like you've just been through and have to do that 45-minute walk or jog or whatever it might be, you just go, no, I'm going to do it. Like it strengthens your disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I mean, you start your day feeling great, because you've achieved you put yourself under stress. And I've got a big belief that and this is quite philosophical as well, but you need to put yourself under some kind of stress in order to grow as a human, as a person, right? You need to put your body under stress to grow muscles. People often become a mentally stronger or a better or bigger person, if you will, after they've been through pain, trauma as a person. The cold shower is a trauma. Like your body's going through trauma, stress, because I mean, nobody wants to get under a cold shower or get into an ice bath, but look what happens, right? It just seems to be a fact of life that as we put ourselves under stress and under pressure, we come out the other end, a lot better.
Stronger. Yeah. Like it, mate. James, where can people reach you and find out more about you, or if they want to connect? What's the best platforms?
Absolutely. Instagram is great. I can give you my Instagram handle. You can drop down the bottom. It's just Jimmy Anderson with two N's at the end. LinkedIn, if you want to connect on a more professional level, it's just James Anderson. You'll know it's the director of Bluestone Property Corporation. And obviously, yeah, our company website, bluestonepc.com.au, if you'd like to find out a little bit more about the business.
Cool. I'll get those links in the show notes, guys, so check it out at thehiddenwhy.com. James, any final words?
Not at all. I'll leave you with a quote by my late grandfather, and it's quite relevant to this, and that is: the pain of discipline is nothing like the pain of disappointment.
Like it. Awesome. Guys, check it out, thehiddenwhy.com. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.